because I only allowed permissions to team one, it can see everything underneath that and the secret. And also, if I go back one and go into the shared where all the business units are there, that this is the multi-tenant example. Same thing, because we have to give list permission so you can click on it. All they all appear, but the user won't have permissions to navigate. And they won't be able to get to any path. They don't. It will be able to access to, and that is all managed at the policy level, which is if I go back to my token here, and on the namespaces you do have attributes. So we do have the attributes which you can use, and also on the groups we can have attributes as well. So if we go back into the root user here, you can see everything. You can see the policies. So sorry, the identity group. So we've automated the groups. So you got the team one, team two, and then the member is the group in the child namespace, and then that's how permissions are managed. And you can have different types. So in this one, there's only a the default policy attached, which allows you to revoke your token and do lookups on your entity. If we go into a child namespace, we'll see the policy for reader. If we edit that, you basically this is hard coded with team one. We'll make this use templating so that we'll pull the attribute from the group name, because when we look at the groups, groups are where's a group? Business user group. You'll see that there is attributes on the group, so we can see that I've added in the business unit and owner. You can add attributes to the metadata for a group, and then you can use that in the path. So where I put BU001 here, I can easily use that attribute to dynamically populate any of these fields, and that's what we'll get ready for the next demo.
So Bala, you have a question? You raise your hand, Bala.
Yeah, we were looking into this earlier. So what we want to understand is in our use case, we have no business unit names getting changed quite frequently. When I say quite frequently, maybe a couple of years once or 3 years once. So what is the recommendation that we can go with respect to that particular piece?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So at the moment, the business units are 00 are not right now. The business units are just called 001, 002, 003. That makes it generic enough so that if they do rename, say three was related to the finance department, and they just change their name, then this identifier doesn't change. If you use any of the attributes in the metadata, so on the attributes on the metadata, you can see you can add a description, you can add a other information on it, who the owner is, etc. So you can see when you look at the detailed output of the namespace what the real name is. So from that perspective, having a generic identifier will keep it simple. However, do business units merge? Because that will be the other complication, right? But then it's difficult to cater for all eventualities.
Yeah, I don't see a merge scenario at this moment, at least. Yeah, but I got it. So I thought BU003 is the business unit name. Now I got it. It's only the key and the metadata is having the actual name.
Yeah, exactly. So the keys should really be static, because which is basically the namespace name, because there is an option to move mounts between namespaces, but that does cause a temporary outage because leases are revoked and then mounts are moved to the new location, and then you got to make sure all your ACL policies are pucker. So it's doable, but it requires a lot of coordination and testing.
Okay.
So what I mean there is you could if for instance this BU03 renamed to 5, you would create a new namespace called BU005, and then you would move the namespaces from 03 to 5, but it does have a outage, and then all the applications would need to be reconfigured so they are pointing at BU005, which you probably don't want to do, because that's quite a big impact.
Yeah. Okay.
So would that mean then, yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. I think from what I'm understanding from the demo is you have, obviously this is just for the demo purposes, because you have a single KV engine for the different teams underneath the business unit. But you just made a point there, which is, I think, fit for our purpose. And that would lead us into maybe deciding if we don't go with the 4th level, right? Because we have right now, I want to say the 3rd level is the business unit, like you have here, 01, 02. But the 4th level, which was the point of contention that Michael and Bala were still on the fence with, was if we needed a 4th namespace for the project or the teams. And in your demo, you have a single KB engine shared for all the teams underneath the business unit. But then you just made a point there, Nareesh, which is if you have to move a project between business units, then it's better to have it in a separate KV engine, right? Rather than having a shared KV engine.
Yeah, because the mount point path is the lowest common denominator here. It's the mount paths you're moving, right?
Mm-hmm.
So having a shared one means everything gets moved all in one go, like Big Bang. Let's see if there's a vault move mount mount migration. So you can do it. Let's find a good page on it. You can do it. So here you can move things between namespaces, but it is the mount that moves. So the secret engine or the auth method moves. So it is possible to do. So you can take and move it around.
Can you throw that in the chat, will you? That link, please. I'll read it out. Okay, so let me think of this. So the mount point can move. So cheers.
Yeah. You can do it. You can do it. There will probably be a small blip. It's asynchronous. So yeah, it does move it. So yeah, back to the demo. So yeah, we have these mount points, namespaces, and then in each namespace we have a wrong credential. So in this example, I have a a secrets mount here for BU001 namespace.
So Naresh, here I just have one question. So if we let's say have no 4 levels, like what Francisco was saying, one at the business unit level and then one at the team level as a child namespace, and at any point of time, if the BU changes, can we just map all the child namespaces to the new BU unit namespace?
No, it's mount specific. So auth method or a secrets engine. So you move the secrets engine. So you'd move this KV, but you'd have to make sure the names are unique. Then, so here I've called secrets. Yeah, you just have to make sure there was no clash. Let me just check what the command is. Move. Yeah. So we just need to make sure that you just don't use something that is the same on all mounts. We need to test this to see if there's a name clash. But for instance, as I call these all secrets, if you try to move this to another namespace, you just need to check that this mount name is not going to cause a conflict. But yeah, this mount that is currently sitting in namespace BU001 can be moved to any other namespace, child namespace. As per your question.
No. I'm asking like under BU001, I have team A, team B, team C, and my BU001 is now changed to BU100 instead of 1. It has been changed to 100. Now, can I move my team A, B, and C map to the new namespace BU100?
So what you're saying is you got a mount like this, team 1?
Inside BB,
yes.
Inside the business unit, right?
So team 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're basically saying for each of your teams, they've all got their own dedicated KV
namespaces
inside the namespace. Yeah, so this team 1, team 2, could move to because it's a secret engine dedicated to that team. You will test this to make sure that it is going to do give the right outcome. But yes, you should be able to move this to any of these namespaces.
Okay.
To answer your question,
please check and let us know. But probably that's an option that we can consider.
Yeah.
If at all, no, we can see frequent changes in the BU.
Yeah. No problem. So yeah, under the admin, you don't see any mounts, so they're all in the child namespaces. But yes, we'll do some testing to confirm that those team 1, team 2, 3 mounts can be moved to another namespace.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, and then did you have any questions around the RBAC? So I showed you so if inside every single namespace, there would be a policy around what can be viewed. So for every single type of RBAC, we have to create policies. So I've only demonstrated BU00KV reader, which only has read and list permissions. In order to update the secret, then update policies, and for your April or your Jenkins credential, then you will need an appropriate ACL policy.
There's one question there. So you did the group policy, right? So this policy you created, and then you assign to a group.
Yes.
And that's for the user pass, right?
Yes.
And can we use the same group mapping, let's say, to job tokens or to Aprils?
Yes. Yes, it's a policy. When you create the user the April, you define a policy. So on the method, you policies, which is an array. So you pass 101 policies when you create the app role.
But I can't assign an app role to a group and then have that group have a policy. And then
it doesn't. No, sorry, it doesn't work like that. So groups really work with human authentication. So whether it's LDAP, Entra ID, user pass, I don't even think groups work with the. Yeah, they work with the OIDC, which is
it has actually ready. So yeah.
Yeah, so AppRo is straight policies. Yeah, so that is there's no groups there.
You need to be explicit with the policies that you give to app roles. Yeah.
Yeah, and policies. The way I've done this at the moment, this is a specific a namespace. But if you're doing AppRo for CI/CD. Yeah, and you're in a parent, like you're in the admin namespace, then you can basically put in the when you create the policies, you can actually put in the namespace names as well. So you can use like ++ notation to allow it to make modifications to say ACO policies in child namespaces. I think I got an example here. So when I was doing automation with, I think this is an example. In this example here, I have policies. Namespace admin. You would have a policy for your authentication, and you can basically say, so you'd have a policy for your AppRo, which Jenkins is using, and you would say that it can only perform actions on namespace like read, update, delete. It can only manage identities. It can only manage these mounts. So your AppRo for CI/CD would have specific policies. So it couldn't do anything that you didn't give it permissions to do. So in here, it can create ACO policies in the nested namespaces, and it can list them. But it couldn't do. It couldn't in here. There is no policy around audit devices. So in this example, it cannot create audit devices.
Okay.
So that's how you would configure your AppRo to have a policy which it can then consume.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Just trying to find my ++ example. Here you go. Here. So in order to hit child namespaces and manage anything in a child namespace, and you're at and your CI/CD AppRo is in the admin namespace, you can use this + notation. So you can either have the actual namespace name in here, like BU001, but if you're setting up CI/CD and you want to be able to hit any child namespace, then you can use the + notation, which is a match for any single word, whereas the star means anything at the end.
Gotcha. Yep.
So yeah, your AppRo will have a policy. And it will have permissions and based on whatever your CI/CD pipeline needs to be able to do. So whether it's managing policies, creating, deleting namespaces, modification of mounts, etc., you just keep extending the policy. Otherwise, you'll just get errors when your Jenkins pipelines run.
Yep. Thanks for this. I guess we're 40 minutes in. I just want to make maybe a consensus question. Do we have all an agreement on how the namespaces are going to be structured? Bala, Michael, Alan, what do you guys think? Is there still some questions around 3rd level, 4th level?
Well, for larger BUs, I think it should be split up just for security stuff. But like for smaller ones, just one namespace is probably okay, or one RBAC, I should say.
Yeah, Francisco, I'll probably just think over and see which is the best one that we can take it from this. I'm just looking for 3 to 4 levels so that it will be easy for us to move, or probably we have to hard code, probably give some random tenant IDs and then have the metadata with the business unit so that we will be going with that approach. So let's see.
Yeah.
Might take
Yeah,
a
I
minute
mean,
for us.
having lots of dedicated KV per team is possible. It just means that you're just managing more mounts. Vault can basically run with one mount, but if you have teams that may move around, then it's more movable when it's all in the single mount.
Well, are you thinking then let's do a real world example here. Let's do SIF, which is now EA, whatever the heck they've been called this week, right? They come under what business? The lines of businesses are being defined as well within the bank, right? Is line of business something that we want to consider? Because line of business could be your top namespace, and everything comes under that.
Not like that, Michael. As long as we can segregate or probably provide least privilege to the teams to have access to what they want, I think we are fine.
So we could go SIF or EI as the namespace, because that is interchangeable. So we can move, but then your mount point would be Mule. Is that what we're saying? Or you want to bring it down to the team level? Because I don't know if you need one mount point for every API project. So when you say team, are we saying the Mule project? Are we saying
Because the other thing on the group is you can have a metadata, so you can populate this with line of business if you wanted to, and have
metadata would be line of business, yeah.
So you could have the line of business LOB as another parameter here, and I don't know what your LOBs are. Let's call finance as an example. The only issue with having that in any pathing is will this ever change, right? So you could automatically pull out LOB from the group name when we do the templating. So now that's in the metadata now, LOB. So we can pull this attribute out. And you can have multiple of these. You could have, BU/LOB/team automatically creating the ACL.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think, Michael, for Mule, we may take a different approach since it is serving different customers, assuming that it is having different projects connecting Mule APIs. Then we may be probably taking a different route, either with a child namespace under Mule, or we will be creating different teams as a namespace under Mule for different projects. That's how I am thinking too.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same, I think.
Yeah.
Francisco, will we take a 15-minute on that? I don't think we need to overcook this anymore in this session. I think we can.
Yeah, take it offline, and
we've got enough information on what we can move the mount that we can.
Yeah, exactly. So once you have these attributes defined in the group, which is all going to be done by Terraform, no one's manually putting in these details, and they're fixed. So then you can use them in any ACL path automatically. And the only issue could arise is if these attributes change, then the path in the ACL policy won't hit. But I don't think that's another thing to consider, really. But yeah, take it offline and have a think.
You guys have, before we wrap up, it's 15 minutes. You also have questions regarding airbag.
Yeah, Well, I do want to just give an overview. We were kind of getting into this at the end of the last session, just what a robot model is and the other tooling and what we, and if you guys can just take a look, I was meant to send this across, we didn't get it across in time.
Yeah, just give me a second. Let me share my screen. Yeah, hope you guys see my screen. So
yes, I'm seeing yes.
So if you see this table, this is our common RBAC model that we are using for our DevOps tooling. So we have two roles. One is an operational role, and the other one is a user role.
Right.
The operational role is common across. I mean to say, is at the tool level where you have a tool administrator and a tool support. An administrator will have elevated privileges. But basically, this admin privileges is only maintained at the CI/CD,
okay,
not given to any user to log in and do any activity.
Right.
Whereas the support person is the one who does the BAU,
All right.
and who needs probably permissions on their day-to-day support activities for the tool. Okay. And we do have three roles, 3 to 4 roles, 4 user roles. One is an admin. I'm calling this as a project admin. Assume that this is a project specific role, so we call this as a project admin.
Right.
And we do have a contributor and viewer and then an approver. A project admin is the one who has access to the entire project information. When I say project information, let's take Vault. Under BU001, I have 3 teams. I have access to all 3 teams, data, and I can able to see everything.
Okay, yeah.
Whereas a contributor is more of a read-write role, where I'll be kind of a developer or a tester, where I can do as a DevOps engineer, I will be doing activities, and I will be creating records or updating records and things like that. Viewer is more of a read role, where it can be for auditing purpose, or it can be for anyone from security wants to be part of this particular group to understand what the guys are creating, and then see whether it is violating any security principles and things like that, or someone from other project just want to see he's kind of let's take the example of Mule, where the teams are working in different streams. Then there is a chance that you will be having a viewer access to one particular team. In the other team, you will be having an access for a contributor. An approver is more for Jira and Bitbucket, where you will have approval permissions. But yes, so this is our common RBAC model, and we are kind of fitting it. If you see in the top, we have fitting it to all our tools at the moment: Jenkins, Artifactory, Bitbucket, everything.
Right.
So I've just come up with. This is something that we come up with earlier, but we are not going with this approach, kind of an app role or something. So I don't want to take this into this. Just give me a second. So I am kind of putting something like this in the table. Not this one. Just give me a second. Yeah. So this is something I'm coming up with as an RBAC model, where whatever the roles that you see there is the same.
Yes.
The only thing is that I have namespaces and policies included for each role.
Right.
And that will be controlled with respect to what permissions that I may have and to what namespaces. This is how I'm probably thinking at the moment. So if you guys have good overview on how it looks like, yeah, we are good.
Okay, can you?
But what we were
No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, what we were probably looking for is if we can have Vault aligned to these roles. Maybe some of these roles may not fit in for Vault, that's fine. But basically, we want Vault also to fit into this particular model, so that it will be easy for us to go through our governance process quickly.
Okay. Is there many chance you can send us? Maybe export it?
Yes.
Yeah.
so we can have a
sure,
look.
we'll do that.
But
Yeah, sure, we'll do that.
yes, we make some ideas. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So this also covers some of the security principles. That's why I'm pushing for this particular RBAC model to be fit in for Vault as well, like least privileges, segregation of duties, etc. from security guys. So it will be easy for us to go through the, as I said, go through the governance process quickly if we have Vault fit into this model.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in terms, well, I mean, it's pretty clear, but yeah, the authorization engine, yeah, okay. This is for the DevOps CO toolchain, right? Basically.
Yes, right.
I mean, this will be used for that particular case. Okay, yeah, Francisco.
Yeah, I guess question to Bala there. So this RBAC, I guess that's for human. Is there any overlap with the machines or pipelines or EC2 instances, virtual servers?
This will also, Francisco, to answer your question, this will also support the mission-to-mission authentication. The only piece is that how we are going to segregate per team, instead of user roles, it will be per team roles for mission authentication or permissions.
Yeah, so there'll be a lower level min. Well, I don't know what min is the right word.
So it still fits into the roles here. Let's say for CI/CD pipeline, if I'm writing some data, I will be part of the contributor role. Or if I'm just reading some data from Vault, I will be getting the viewer role in the CI/CD pipeline. That's all I want, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Obviously, I won't have admin permission in my CI/CD. Maybe a contributor where I will be writing some records in Vault. In our case, where maybe we will be, let's say some team wants to create KVs via pipeline or something like that.
Correct. It is. I mean, how are they created? And it's kind of. Do I use like, I don't know how to say, policy as code using Terraform, or it's just manually thingy?
Which one?
I mean the policy the policies that you are how I mean on all these RBAC roles, how do you manage those?
So these are the roles that we define. Basically, we want to map these roles.
Yeah. Okay.
Either to a policy, either to a policy. Yeah.
Question is how we add these permission sets across the different tools to Terraform through configurations code.
Yes. So the admin policy, let's take that one's going to go in like the admin namespace, and we'll have an administrator policy, and then you'll link that to a human auth method, whether that's Entra ID or a group basically, because we don't like putting people in the membership, so everything's groups. So if we say that our back model inside Vault is groups and policies, then your authentication IDP then needs to be able to map people to groups, which we will then map inside Vault. For the simple one at the top, the administrator and support, that's simple because that's happening in the top level namespaces. For the user roles, say you've got 5 teams, they're going to need to have a group name with the appropriate identifiers in the group name in order to for someone to figure out which namespace it needs to get the mapping in.
Okay, so
from a naming convention perspective,
if you ask me, I can think of, even without group involved, we can map, probably create a role, something like a contributor, and I can attach it to a policy, right?
Yeah. So for one namespace, you could just create admin contributor viewer, like I did in my example. But as you grow this to multiple teams, we need you probably need a naming convention
Yeah. So these are whatever are you seeing here are probably the generic template, but we do have a specific for each. For example, for Bitbucket, we have.
Cool.
So we have AD group specific for Bitbucket. But I'm thinking that for Vault, we may not be mapping everything to an AD group. We may also create a role and then map it to a policy. But the naming conventions will follow the same pattern.
That five policy book, like the foundational based policies, right? Like the core. Support, admin, contributor, viewer, and approver.
Yes.
All right. That will be the basis on an identified actor, like namespace,
yes. So
CI/CD.
If you just scroll here for Bitbucket, we are following this.
All right. Admin support.
So if you see that,
that's right.
So we have this for Artifactory. We have this.
Okay.
We are following it for Jenkins. So for each tool, we are following this. The only piece is that for each tool, it has AD group map, and we have no tag to a specific project or teams or unit. Whereas in case of Vault, that may differ. That's how I'm seeing it at the moment, but I don't know.
Okay, so let's talk about the bottom row. Is the easy one, approver. Is this one relevant to?
Yeah, that's what I said, Naresh. So some of these roles may not relevant to Vault. If not, that's fine.
Okay.
So if you see here,
because you won't.
If you see here, the approver itself is fit in for only Bitbucket and Jira. You see there is no checkboxes for other tools.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So even on a namespace, the teams won't be admins as such because they won't be able to create policies. They won't be able to create mount points, etc. They'll just be as a human. They will only be able to update the KV path they have access to, which is more aligned to like contributor, which is the right access to project specific contents.
Yeah, that's fine. So if we feel that there is no administrative access required for a particular project, that's fine. But we are keeping, probably I'll give the background of this user role of admin specific to a project. So we want someone in a project to own the data, right? So if we give it to specific teams, the problem that we are facing is while we are designing this model, the problem we are facing is that team members were there when the project is going on and then they move to some other team. And if we need to get back, or when we were looking for the ownership of that particular project, no one was there for us to identify and see whether it is still in use or whether they need this data or something like that down the line. That's why we introduced this admin role. It's more of who owns that particular data, whatever the project that has.
On the security tool, Bala,
yes,
there was a project lead role, which was like a localized to what they could do.
So, just one question, maybe it's already asked or whatever. I mean, in terms of the responsibility for the policy management, it's going to be centralized, or it's going to be delegated to the tenant and namespace admin?
We will have all the policies. Yeah, Francisco, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to make it clear that there's going to be base policies for these RBAC roles that we're going to centralize in a single repo.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that teams won't be able to then contribute in some way or form to be determined to add their own policies. Right, Bala?
Yeah, so I was about to tell you the same thing. So the only point that I want to add is nobody is going to manually change the policies, at least in production. It all go through via the Jenkins.
Okay.
That is how that we are thinking. Francisco, is that fine?
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds good. Yes, everything should be automated and it's auditable because you give users access to do admin stuff. They're gonna do crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
What I'm gonna do is send you. I've exported this out of Confluence. Can you guys come back with a review of them? So it's roles policies, isn't it? What else we need to part of that rollback or back? Sorry, users.
Yeah, about the namespaces switching between different, switching between child to parent.
Yeah, so we'll do this follow-up session. Well, it might be too late for you, but with myself and Francisco and Alan, we'll meet with you again in the morning, and we'll come up with a draft of where we'll just go. It'll not be too far away from where Marson was at, I think, is where we're ending.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Just one last thing before before we wrap this one up, just to give the HashiCorp guys a bit of a insight on what we're trying to do in the next 2 weeks deliverables. We've divided up into a sprint. So this is a common session. So we'll keep going through this. Like I'd say the scope of what we're trying to lock in the next sprint is there's still a lot of the design decisions we'll keep working with you guys, especially when you still don't have access to the system. I think that's still in flight.
Mm-hmm.
But we want to look at our objectives, what we're trying to do, get this namespace design out of the way. We're in the middle of a provision in a new production account or a new non-prod account. There's Bala still flying with a lot of the security reviews we're doing, and then trying to get an exception in place for the production account. I mentioned that, get it spun up a little bit quicker. We're going to start. We're going to pick up some HSM testing in the sandbox, at least just to trial and error, get Thales Cloud installed and stuff like that there.
Mm-hmm.
We're meeting with one of the business units, SIF, who are part of the project roadmap. We can get some quick wins done. They have a lot of new on-prem servers coming online for runtimes. So we're meeting with them this week to try and get the pre-prod deployments aligned. And that's going into a May-June time, which if we want to, they've got production timelines of August, September. But we need to kind of get on top of that now. So we're with them on pre-prod with default integration. We can do that with our existing non-prod vault. So that's where that's going. And we were hit with a lot of annual leave. So outside of that, the sessions as well, that's where we're going. There's a bit of FNAFy stuff there on the top as well. That's where this is going to get to in the next 2 weeks. So account provisioning, design decisions, and some test and learn around HSM and vault integration. KV engine will probably get enabled as well. That's
perfect. Yeah, thank many thanks for the information. When is our next session is
Wednesday or Friday? Sorry, let me. So we'll touch back in. We'll lock in the ORBAC and the namespace conversation. So I'm going to send you across stuff now on. I'll just share it with you in namespace.
Feel free if you
I want you guys to come in and critique what we're thinking. We'll lock in whether we stick with whatever we decide this evening. We're going to lock in a draft of a namespace design before across that to you. And then if you want to come back to us with Friday morning with Friday lunchtime, is it? With an ORBAC, challenges on the ORBAC model of which we currently have versus where we could end up. Remember, we do need to keep, I want to go into namespace. I want to go into ORBAC a bit more with Bala and Francisco as well. So we'll send over a summary of the session and what we'd want to get out of the next session in the next either today or early tomorrow. If that works.
Okay. I mean, feel free if you want to move it to Monday or Tuesday or whatever. If you can do it on Friday, it's okay.
No, we'll keep it locked in. We'll go for Friday. Yeah.
Okay. But it's you don't have to. It's okay.
Yeah. No, but I'd like to be going into the weekend that at least we've a draft on our namespace ORBAC model done, and we can take that one at least in the draft phase. If this is the direction we're going in for now, we can iterate again at a future point. If we can get that done for the end of this week, okay, we're making some progress. Yep.
Excellent. I agree.
Cool. All right. Cheers.
Perfect. Thank you.
We'll chat in emails between here and then.
Sure.
And we'll chat further on Friday.
Sure.
Michael, can you hang on a second?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
See you Friday.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Bye bye. Cheers.
Cheers all.